Hello, I am Emily Ruppel, and today I will be presenting Zuko Alone, Exile and Redemption in Avatar: The Last Airbender. The Last Airbender was a TV show that aired in the mid to late 2000s and was a vital part of my childhood and the childhoods of many others. It had 3 seasons and 61 episodes in total, at half an hour each, all of which originally aired on Nickelodeon and now can be found on Netflix. It received many accolades and awards at the time of release, but to this day it is considered a masterclass in storytelling, animation, and meaningful family content. It was heavily inspired by Eastern elements and was overtly interested in telling stories not often heard in Western civilization, but Western artifacts like biblical allusions are nonetheless easily found within the show. I would tell you the basic plot of this show myself, but the best introduction one can give is within the first minute of the show itself. Please enjoy.
Water. Earth. Fire. Air. My grandmother used to tell me stories about the old days, a time of peace, when the Avatar kept balance between the Water Tribes, Earth Kingdom, Fire Nation, and Air Nomads. But that all changed when the Fire Nation attacked. Only the Avatar mastered all 4 elements. Only he could stop the ruthless Firebenders. But when the world needed him most, he vanished. 100 years have passed, and the Fire Nation is nearing victory in the war. 2 years ago, my father and the men of my tribe journeyed to the Earth Kingdom to help fight against the Fire Nation, leaving me and my brother to look after our tribe. Some people believe that the Avatar was never reborn into the Air Nomads and that the cycle is broken, but I haven't lost hope. I still believe that somehow, the Avatar will return to save the world.
The Avatar does return as Aang, the last Avatar, hence the name of the show, and the Jesus figure of the show. Katara, who narrated the last clip, and her brother Sokka are coded as the first disciples as they join Aang on his journey. They are in time joined by Toph, a blind girl who is liberated by Aang, if not cured, of her blindness. Together, they travel the world trying to save it from the Fire Nation Empire, one misadventure at a time. These New Testament themes form the A plot of the story and are relevant to this class in that they inform the B plot, one of the stronger character arcs of the show. Prince Zuko, Season 1's villain, Season 2's side plot, and eventually an ally in the latter half of the last season. His is a story of redemption, exile, and spiritual growth, all of which can be compared to the story of Exodus. In exile, after his own father burned his face, gave him the scar that often defines him, and banishes him for speaking out against a general who wanted to sacrifice new recruits in the war for a minor victory. His goal is to, quote, regain his honor, end quote, by capturing the Avatar, the God figure. His mission, which is misled and misunderstood for most of his character arc, by himself as well as others, consumes him and ironically drives him away from Aang. He is, however, guided by his uncle, the retired General Iroh. Iroh, a fan favorite, represents Moses. He was raised in a position of power and privilege that was taken from him through violence. That violence led to a short personal exile, through which he gained a greater understanding of spirits and the nature of the war, not unlike Moses' discovery of the burning bush. Iroh is Zuko's one consistent companion in exile, guiding him away from destructive paths of his banishment into a greater spiritual understanding that eventually leads back to Aang. Just as Moses kept the Israelites from despair and starvation, so did Iroh keep Zuko on a path that allowed for his eventual redemption. Also, just as Moses never sees the Promised Land himself, Iroh never returns to the Fire Nation, staying in the Earth Kingdom in what one could consider his version of paradise or heaven. As I have alluded by now, Prince Zuko represents the Israelites. His physical exile reflects his spiritual dislocation, but it is not despite those things, but through them, that he comes to grow in understanding and becomes the person that he needs to be in order to follow Aang. One of the strongest cases for this argument comes from the episode Zuko Alone, which, as the name implies, features only Zuko. Aang and the others never appear, including Iroh. Zuko separates from Iroh in an attempt to find his own path, including finding work in an Earth Kingdom village. He has to hide his identity to survive, but he gives up his anonymity eventually to protect the village. However, when the village learns he is Fire Nation, he is ousted and returns to exile alone. In their own exile, the Israelites often chafe and complain about God, trying time and again to shake their identity or plead to return to Egypt. However, each time they are convinced by signs and by covenants to return to their exile. It is particularly fitting that the memory of Zuko's mother is what drives his embrace of his identity, as it corresponds to the image of a mother god and a nurturing god that feature in many later descriptions of God. Another such example is the climactic battle during which Zuko betrays Iroh and attacks Aang, convinced by the poisonous words of his sister. This is similar to the creation of the golden calf, not least because Iroh is absent from Zuko's betrayal as he is with Aang, just as Moses was with God at Mount Sinai. Zuko is convinced to take the idol of power and misplaced loyalty to his abusive father and aggressive sister at great cost to others, something he seems to know with terrible clarity based on his face in those moments, as portrayed on the slide. In this moment where the A-plot and B-plot collide, the deadly massacre following the creation of the calf is presented as equally dire as the betrayal of Jesus, wherein Zuko's actions directly lead to Aang's death, albeit temporarily. However, Zuko's story is given a happy and hopeful resolution, wherein he joins Aang, follows Iroh's steps in spiritual growth, and not only frees the world of tyranny, but also presents the path forward for redemption of all people. This end, understood allegorically, represents the promises the Israelites received from God come to fruition through their connection with both God the one who spoke to Moses and God the Messiah, both Avatar and Aang.